The last video for designing a gable, we kind of ended right here, and I've changed one thing, just one thing that I'm not showing, which is this is the front elevation of my house. And what I did typically, like when I place these things out, I usually put front and then right, then left, and kind of walk myself all the way around the house. But I forgot, that a trick sometimes, and it just made me be able to think about it a little bit easier. Is if I put the front here, and then put the left to the left of front and right to right of front. That helped me just a little bit. So actually, this is the back of the home. So what would help even more would then to be going ahead and taking this and moving it. So this is exactly what I just did with the other side, but getting it out of the way and going ahead and making it so that it is, I guess, more like origami, so to speak. In that way, you can kind of visualize what's happening a little bit better on these adjacent sides. Okay, so that's the second part, and I think that will help as far as not making things seem so disconnected. I think the easiest thing to do in this case is probably worry about the back in its own right, with the exception of the fact that I know that none of these ridges extend beyond the side wall of the back of the house. Okay, so this is a place now that I think it's important to probably start neatening things up just a little bit. Okay, which means that I'm going to go ahead and get rid of those things, and I'm going to get rid of these things, and I'm still going to leave the heights running all the way across the width of the home. Okay, but here I'm going to treat the front elevation as its own entity right now. Okay, and I'm just going to get rid of what I don't need. So we know that this corresponds to the top of the house, and we know that the gable right here is going to be lower than the top of the house, reaching a maximum height right in here. Okay, so these really are just fascia boards now, and they're gone. We don't have them right there, and we don't have them here, right? And that must be its own line. So those can just be trimmed away instantaneously. Okay, those are all goners. And periodically, when you get to adding the fascia boards and things, you're going to want to go ahead and look at this and neaten things up. Okay. Um, Again, I can go ahead and I might actually delete these along the way, but for the most part, the front of my house is pretty well taken care of. Okay, now on the right side of my house, okay, so this projection is coming out in this direction. Okay, which means that there is no roof past this highest point. That highest point is on its own. This is on its own. Okay, and we don't have anything hanging out back in this area. Okay, back inside of here, back inside of here, right? Nothing is sticking up above this. There's no fascia board sticking down below that. Okay, and this is really kind of setting us up for success in this way. And I think I am going to actually delete these because they're kind of driving me just nuts. Okay, so that looks about correct. Okay, we have this gable right here, or I'm sorry, this ridge, which is corresponding to this highest point. Okay, we have this ridge right here corresponding to this highest point, and we know that nothing is running through the house. And that's the middle of the roof, and that's the middle of the roof, and those can go away on their own too. And again, watch for this is a place where you tend to drop and miss a lot of things along the way. Okay. Um, and we will go, let's see, to see what's happening over here on this side as we look at this way. Okay. So what we haven't done is we have not, we can figure out now, and I think the easiest thing to do might be to go ahead and project this gable upwards. So in other words, drawing a stick that goes up into space, and that stick then is going to be used over on this side so that we can determine, because we don't know if this, and we can actually almost guess for certain that this right here is different as far as the intersection here of this ridge to this side of the gable does not necessarily correspond on this side. Why? Because the midpoint of this line and the midpoint of this line are different. Now I know I made this ridge right here, which again may not be in the right location, from the midpoint of this overall portion of the house. Okay. So I'm trying to just think to myself and ask myself a question. Is there a way that's really easy and convenient to locate this point over at this point? And again, I suppose I can do that because I know that this distance, um, the way that this gable sticks out in front of the house, the distance from this corner, okay, in other words, this goes back the same amount as this does. Okay. No, it doesn't. Okay. So there is going to play even another role in that. So now I'm at the point where, again, I'm going to have to go ahead and kind of ignore some of this roof pitch stuff. And I think that where I should go is trying to, again, locate this point over on this side of the house. Now, in order to do that, this is already lined up, right? So let's double check that from here to here is lined up, and you can see it is. Okay, if you wanted to really double check it, go ahead and do a list. Oh, nope, not a line. LI spacebar. Make sure that that angle is either 90 or it should be 90, right? So let's just project this line all the way through the house over to this side. And what we might end up doing is scratching all the rest of our elevations, okay, at this point. Because I don't know how far back right here, this, right, like in this intersection right here where these valleys are, I can see that it is a bigger distance, right, going down this way. So this would be probably someplace, another place I want to look, okay? So this now is a goner. And again, what I'm going to need to do is to find this location right here in terms of this. And this is so weird that it actually came out like completely connected. Okay. This was no problem because here, this ridge was set to the midpoint of this gable. So what I will do is just extend it quickly to make sure that that's out there. Okay. That is so odd. I can't believe that happened just like it did, but usually it doesn't. So now I can go ahead and trim this, and I again have guaranteed that this slope is the same in both directions, and that is going to help me going forward. So I don't need that there anymore. This now is correct, but this is not correct, and this is not correct, and that is not correct. Okay. So what might be a good thing to do, what I would suggest at this point, is go ahead and use these elevations, but use them off of specific points. So go ahead and do any of your house rotations. Get everything lined up. So this should already be lined up. Yes, it is. Okay. But the other way that we could do this is just go ahead and look at a distance. So like if I measure a distance from right here to right here, then I can just deal with this with a simple offset. Okay, and it tells me that that distance is 11 feet 8 inches. Okay, so the center of the ridge is 11 feet 8 inches off of this back wall of the house. So I can just go ahead and offset 11 feet 8 inches. And this will be a time saver then, rather than having to go back. So I'm just going to make sure I'm offsetting off of the back wall in every case. If I come forward, and then where's my back wall? Over here. It is right here. So that works just fine. Okay, and then just have to extend these. But you've now made sure that everything is, so when I extend these lines, I can go ahead and be sure that my ridges are now in the right place, my gable is in the right place, my valleys are in the right place. So I'll go ahead and do these extensions on my own. And then this will, let's see, just about be done. And I just have to go ahead and work out. So this right here is like the mirror image of this right here. And then just a little bit of fine tuning over here on this side. But right off the bat, I know that I can at least delete all of that stuff. So convoluted, yes. Again, this is so you're kind of thinking in two directions. You start here, thinking about what the roof really should look like from the top. You work down to this point, thinking about where, what the slope is and where those things belong. And then you work backwards from here to make sure that these ridges and intersections are in the correct place on top of the roof. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and finish this, and then I'll come back with a step 3 where hopefully I can have this all finalized. And then step 4 will be, the final part is going to be making this actually look like a roof with bird boxes and fascia details.